Let's talk.
Giles Brown.
Time of the week, excuse me, my voice is cracking with the emotion because we're going to get live to our man in Barcelona, Tim Parfitt. Morning to you, Tim.
Good morning. Cracking with the emotion.
Cracking
these introductions get...
Yes.
I'm saying these introductions get better and better.
Well, just you wait as we get to the run up for Christmas or Halloween. Don't worry about that. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. Managing to. I don't know how it is for yourselves up there on the northeast corner of Spain, but I've never known a season as busy as this, and all these talks about Spain, no to tourism and all this sort of thing. It really does throw into sharp focus. It took me an hour and a half to do a journey that would normally take me 35 minutes yesterday, which obviously I didn't know I knew so many old Anglo-Saxon words, or indeed Andalus swear words, but I do now.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same up here, but I mean on a political front, on the news front, I think things will start to die down a little bit from the 31st of July. So it becomes the time of the year when we call it silly news. Where the newspapers are trying to find anything because they can't pick up on the politicians.
Here's the thing, Tim.
All out.
Here's the thing, if I may, because I'm based down in Marbella, as you know, and obviously we have the Madrileños come down en masse because Aznar has actually got a place. Literally, I mean, if I had a particularly light stone, I could probably hit his place from here, and that would upset the Guardia Civil. But anyway, I move on quickly. But we get an influx of Madrileños, and you can spot them a mile off in the supermarkets because they have a certain style of dress, and they seem to have Gemelos twins who always like to dress the same way. But anyway, you're laughing because it's true. Do you have the same? I mean, I know you don't get Madrileños that many in Barcelona because you are blessed to be on the sea as well. Is there an influx? Do you see people from Tarragona or from other areas come up to your part of the world, and you can
well, actually, I think we get a lot of French tourists,
right?
Because it's easy for them, to drive down from the south of France. I mean, but I think Barcelona is packed all year now, pretty much. I mean, one of the items in the news recently has just been that they're reducing the number of these cruise terminals, the cruise ships. From, I think they're going down from 7 to 5 or something, because you in certain areas of Barcelona you're having to queue on the street to get from one area to the next because it's impossible. In the main tourist centres, it's just impossible to move on some of the pavements. It's terrible.
Yeah.
So there is an issue. There's definitely an issue here.
And the thing is, of course, the problem with the cruise line problem is the fact that they come in, but they don't actually, because we had this when they were trying to build a cruise terminal for Marbella at one point, and people, the only thing that people buy is going to be, I went to Marbella and all I got was this stupid T-shirt sort of stuff. They're not actually going to spend money in bistros because they got everything on board these days.
You're dead right. I mean, that's one of the issues. The restaurants and the obviously the hotels hate them. The restaurants and the bars hate them too. Really, they in Barcelona they seem to go along to the Picasso Museum, which isn't far away from the port, and a few little trips like that. And block book those guided tours. But they spend very, very little money in the restaurants, and they just all go back to the ship to eat.
Spending very, very little money, it's not something that obviously the Spanish political bigwigs have a problem with, because there is yet again, we have before sort of Spain shuts down next month. Let's get a couple of financial scandals crackling away, because it's one of the day-to-day peculiarities of Spanish political life. What's the latest on that front, please, Tim?
Yeah, well, we've been speaking about this, Giles, for over a few weeks, but I think even though I say so myself, I was right. Sanchez has managed to last until, I always said, if he can last until the end of July, because things were pretty tough against him with the scandal accusations and everything of his party. But I said if he can last till the end of July, then he's going to be fine until probably till the end of the year, until the end of his 10th. His latest administration, because the elections aren't due until next year. And what's happened is that it's like a godsend to him, really, because the main opposition party, the PP, they're now embroiled in their own corruption scandal, and it's totally sort of like changed the focus from their accusations of his party, and the only ones that are actually coming out on top of this are the far-right Vox Party, because they're saying, you can't vote for either of them. You can't trust any of them. You can't trust the government. You can't trust the socialists led by Sanchez, but you can't trust the PP either. And so actually, I think in the polls, Vox are going to be, looked upon now as in a much stronger situation. This latest one for the PP party is the focus is on a guy called Cristobal Montoro, who is their former finance minister. I mean, he was the finance minister on and off since between 2004 and 2015 for this party, and you'll love this, Giles, because he allegedly set up another office whilst he was in being a minister, which was called the Economic Team. It's called the Economic Team. It was a consultancy, a legal firm. No, not a legal firm. It was a consultancy firm that he set up, and they called it the Economic Team. And this Economic Team, the Equipo Económico, had connections directly to him, to the finance ministry. And, sure enough...
It's brazen, isn't it? It's so brazen sometimes on this stuff,
Yeah, I mean, this has been uncovered by actually the Catalan police, the Mossos, the Esquadron, and apparently this consultancy office, the Economic Team, allegedly received illicit payments from mainly gas and energy firms in exchange for favourable policy decisions, and they're saying that this consultancy collected over 11 million euros from the energy sector. And it was like filtered through to Montoro himself and 27 others, including high-ranking Treasury officials. Now, obviously, he's denied it. He said, he's resigned from the party, even though he hasn't been a minister for years, but he's resigned as a member of the PP, and he released a statement saying that there's no proof in any of these accusations, but it's given Pedro Sanchez a complete breath of fresh air, because the focus has just turned on the PP. And the current leader of the PP, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, he's gone a little bit quiet in his attacks, because he's been persistently criticising Sanchez over all the corruption probes involving the PSOE, the socialists. And he said, all he said was, what needs to be investigated must be investigated, wherever the corruption is, regardless of the political affiliation. But I think Sanchez must be rubbing his hands in joy. He's going to be able to go off and enjoy his holiday without any more accusations.
Well, it takes the heat off him, because, like I said, he was coming in. There's this whole scandal, it's been bubbling away for months now against him and his wife and all sorts of things there. So before everybody breaks up for their summer holidays, the lucky so-and-sos, I suppose it's a bit of a win for him.
Yeah, he's definitely leaving on a bit of a high as far as the corruption is going. But having said that, the government, the Spanish Parliament met yesterday, and I think it was the last day. Maybe they're meeting again today, but it's the final bills and proposals are going through, and they were defeated. The government were defeated yesterday on a bill which was, it sounds ridiculous. I mean, the headline, you think, why would they vote against it? Spanish MPs reject bill designed to prevent another major blackout. Yeah. Remember the blackout we had in April?
Remember, I was at the radio. Have you ever tried to do a radio station when you're completely off power? You don't know what's going on. Everything is down. I was manning the pumps just in case we come back on, but I was literally sitting in my car outside, because obviously it's working off the car battery, listening to the Spanish national radio trying to find what on earth was going on.
Yes. Well, you'd think, why would the MPs reject a bill designed to prevent another one of those going on?
Sure.
But they did, and it all comes down to just interpolitical bickering, really. I mean, there's nothing in the bill that isn't really supposed to be positive and to prevent something like this happening again. But even the energy companies were trying to push the PP, the opposition, to support the bill, but they refused, saying that they're not going to approve the government's energy policy. We don't approve of this so-called anti-blackout plan,
right,
which is nothing more than an attempt to cover up the government's mistakes and erase its faults. So it's just. It's ongoing. And then the other. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, and because we've only got about 5 minutes left, but I just want to look at this declassified documents. Now, this is that Sanchez and the socialists want to leave, and enjoy the summer holidays, but they've just thrown the proverbial, the hand grenade of Antioch into this one because, and again, it's really, I find this really interesting because when I moved over here in 1980, in the 80s, the Civil War was 50 had been less than 50 years since the Civil War had ended, and it wasn't talked about. It absolutely was hushed, and there was still the remnants of Franco's regime, Guardia Civil in those hats, etc. And this has got the potential once again to really stir up, the pact of forgetting that Spain was instrumental in Spain having its democracy and moving on, quote unquote.
Yes, you're right. I mean, it also, again, it's a focus on this current government led by Sanchez. Now, I mean, he's been in power now since 2018, and he during this time he's made several moves, and they've all been controversial. To address the whole of Franco's legacy. Not just this latest bill about the Secrets Act, but he ordered the exhumation of of Franco's remains in October 2019, and then just a couple of years ago, they finally got through the bill that is to ban. It was called another democratic memory law, which bans expressions of support for Franco and it seeks to bring justice to the victims of the Civil War and so forth. And this as we know, this provoked huge protests from the far right and the right wing. And this latest one is to, as you say, they're seeking to declassify secret files, not just from the Franco era, but anything basically over 45 years old. So classified documents are older than 45 years will be made accessible to the public unless their release is deemed a risk to national security. And to be honest with you, all it is bringing it in line with, apparently, I didn't know this, but bringing it in line with European standards, because apparently it's 45 years in most other EU countries now. But Spain has a current official secrets law, which, funnily enough, it was a holdover from Franco's regime, where there's no date for any sensitive information to be released. And so basically all state secrets dated before 1980, which will include Franco's the post-Civil War years, and basically his regime, they will be accessible. It's got to go through Parliament. This is only a proposed bill that they've put forward after a cabinet meeting yesterday, but it won't be debated this now until the autumn.
Right.
But it's another one. It's another one that's going to cause an uproar with the far right. Definitely.
Yeah, and there's going to be so many interesting things, and also so many sort of Spanish businesses and figures, and because it's Franco. Although I'm here, I'm going to stand on my soapbox and shout "No pasará" in a minute. But the thing is this, Tim, is the tentacles of Franco's regime were across all Spanish life, including including sort of cinema, theatre, political life, people who, companies that are, big players now, got, significant hotel groups. I mean, all of them. And it could be very embarrassing for some of these corporations or figures from the roads of showbiz, but if they start coming into that, and that's before we get into the politics and Nazis and all that sort of stuff, because it's all going to be in there.
Yeah, and it's a fact that Franco's legacy it's still a very divisive issue in Spain, and even more so since the far right Vox party has come to the fore. And earlier this year, it's now 50 years since Franco died, which was 1975. Earlier this year, the government set out a number of events to mark the 50 years since his death. Not to
celebration, as it were. No.
Yeah, well, they didn't use the words. They were basically celebrating his death, but they weren't. It wasn't sort of like. Yeah, it wasn't a commemoration of his life, put it that way. It was actually termed Spain in Freedom, 50 years of Spain being in freedom. That was what it was. No? And of course, the PP and especially Vox, they refused to take part in any of these events. No? There were over 100 events that were taking place. I think some of them still are taking place. And this was all planned by the current government, no? And it was, so it's still, so just to what we're saying, it's still divisive. Half the country, it's probably a sweeping statement to say half the country, but half the country don't want to, speak badly about that.
Yeah, let sleeping Perros lie, as they might say in very bad English. Yeah. We're going to run out of time, Tim, but once again, thanks for coming on. If people want to find out, especially to try and make head or tail of the corruption scandals, because it'll give you something to read over the summer recess. Tim, where can people find you? Where should they go to?
It's SpainEnglish.com, Giles. Always good to speak to you.
Always great to speak to you, Tim. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Take care.